They want us to tell them what dz dt is. The derivative of z with respect to time, I assume, t. So we can write that in short. They want to know what z prime is. So in order to know what z prime is, we need to have some sort of equation with z prime involved. In order to do that, we need to differentiate an equation that involves z. So if we differentiate this equation with respect to time, they're telling us that x, y, t, z, they all depend on time somehow. So we need implicit differentiation. The derivative of z squared with respect to time is 2z times z prime. Because the derivative of the outermost function, it's a power function. The 2 comes down and gets reduced by 1. But the derivative of the innermost function, the derivative of z, is not 1. Okay? Because we're differentiating with respect to time. If we're doing the derivative with respect to z, then the rate of change of z when it's just the identity function, when it's just 0, would just, when it's just z, would be 1. Okay? So let me say that again. If you're doing d over dz of this, the derivative would be 2z. But since we're doing d over dt, a derivative with respect to time, we don't know what z is as a function of time. So we have to use implicit differentiation. We write it as z prime. Same thing over here. When you take this derivative with respect to time, it's 3x squared times x prime. And then here, the derivative of y squared with respect to time is 2y times y prime. So now we got an equation that gets z prime by itself, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 other unknowns that we need to have values for. Well, luckily they tell us that x is 4, y is 0. They say x prime is -2. They tell us that y prime is -3. So we got 4 out of those 5. We need to know what z is, or else we can't get z prime by itself without, putting in terms of z. We can get z though. We can get this value because of the original equation. If you go back in here and you plug in the given information, if you plug in -2 for x and then -3 for y, that's something we can solve. -2 cubed is -8. -3 squared is 9. Add those together, that makes 1. So z is going to equal 1. Now we have everything we need to get z prime by itself. Plug in everything that we got. We just found out that z is 1. X is 4. X prime is -2. Y is 0. And then y prime is -3. So you get z prime by itself using algebra. 4 squared, 16. 16 times -2 makes -32. -32 times 3 makes -96. This is just 0. So we need to divide 2 from both sides. So I get z prime is, what is that, -48?